We're just hours away from that all-important Game 2 of the NBA Finals.
Important it is, Doug, and the Heat are looking for a win to pull the series even at 1. That's before, of course, they pack their bags and head to the Lone Star State. So win, lose, or draw for either squad, the storylines have us all on the edge of our respective seats. So let's get after it. Game 2. Budding storylines where the Spurs hung on for a Game 1 W, but winning Game 2, that'll be a tall task. No road team has won the first 2 in the finals since the '95 Rockets. Also in their way, the Heat's ability to bounce back. Miami, they haven't dropped consecutive games since January, and they're 12-0 following Game 1 losses since LBJ came to the MIA. And speaking of James, he recorded his 3rd career finals triple-double in Game 1 after he did so in the finals clincher last season.
For more on tonight's Game 2 between the Spurs and Heat, let's bring in Mark Schwartz from Miami. Now, Mark, what have the Heat said about the toll this playoff run is taking on them, of course, coming off that 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals with Indiana?
Well, Doug, they're talking about how much they need Dwayne Wade, and he's been dealing with pain and frustration for the last 3 months, no longer making the electric plays that earned him the nickname Flash. But lately, his teammates are starting to see some signs of the real Dwayne Wade. He had a couple of really good games at the end of the Indiana series, Game 7, and of course the first half of Game 1 of these finals. But pain aside, players like Wade and Chris Bosh are dealing with a different kind of ordeal, the grueling challenge of climbing to the top of the NBA summit.
Playoffs ain't fun, man. You know, I'm sorry to bust anyone on the outside bubble, but as a player in the playoffs, you have no joy until it's over and you won. If you don't win, you have no joy for a while.
It's stressful. It's very, very stressful. You know, you just want to play the games. I mean, in between the space of the 48 minutes of basketball, those are the worst days for me. You know, when I'm out there playing, I'm calm. I just trust what I'm doing. You know, I'm go through a lot of feelings when I'm not playing basketball.
How do you get through it?
Minute by minute. I like to just go home, play with my kids because they don't care anything about a championship or basketball. They just want to play, so we play.
A real inside look at the minds of both Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. You might think it looks like glory. You might think it looks like joy. It certainly does if you hoist that trophy. But the road to that trophy, Doug, is a very grueling one for these players right now.
No doubt, still 4 wins away. Now, Mark, what signs of the real Dwayne Wade or Flash, as you said, emerging, are his teammates seeing?
LeBron James told Dwayne Wade the other day, Doug, that he said, I can see it in your face. When you are activated, energized, when you're not feeling the pain or the frustration and you have your lift, it's all over your face. And I know I can get you the ball and I know you're going to do some things. And Dwayne's starting to think about it, and it's really, he says he's changed his approach. He realizes how much his attitude and mindset have to do with his performance on the court. And before Game 7 of the Indiana series, Wade went to his neighbor Chris Bosh's house, and they both needed to get their minds off basketball. They both needed to share brotherhood, and Wade says he needed to tell Chris Bosh how important he was to him and to this team. It's been a bit of a struggle for the other 2 parts of the Big Three. They will have to come through if the Heat are to defend their title against the Spurs, Doug.
Interesting stuff. Who knew the Big Three were part-time therapists? Mark Schwartz with the latest from Miami.
Now, maybe the Heat, Doug, have the Spurs right where they want them, on the therapy couch. Miami, they won their last 10 games following a loss, and they haven't dropped back-to-back contests since early January. After each of their 4 previous L's this postseason, the Heat, they bounced back to win, and by double figures, no less. Sage Steele and Tim Legler, they're getting you set for game time. Ooh.
We have to play a complete game. I think that's out there. We have to be more efficient on offense. We realize against this team, empty possessions and turnovers, that's just not going to happen. We can't afford to have that happen, and you know we have to really do a better job of trying to get up and into them and force just a few more turnovers. I mean, you know, they had 4, we had 9, and that ended up really being a very key part of the game. So we have to keep our possessions, get good shots, and just play a full 48-minute basketball game.
All right, Bosch says he wants to clean up the empty possessions, and no better example than the fourth quarter Thursday night. Heat had 22 possessions in that quarter, but 9 ended in missed shots, and 5 of them ended in turnovers. That is almost 2/3 of their possessions ending without any points in the fourth quarter, a very telling statistic. ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler back with me here in Miami. And Tim, let's just keep it very short and simple. What do the Heat need to do? What adjustments do they need to make to even this series out?
Well, Chris Bosh alluded to the turnovers, and that would be great. If you can force more turnovers, San Antonio does a great job of taking care of the ball. But you can get out and run if you do that. But what happens if you don't? What are you doing in the half court? And that's really where I look at game one and see where it got away from the Miami Heat. It was stagnancy in their offense. And if you want to improve for game two, there's got to be more movement. When the Miami Heat are at their best, they're not simply an isolation team. They're a team that has weak side cuts. They've got action with double screens on the weak side of the floor. They've got ball side cuts when it goes into the post, particularly with Wade and LeBron working off of each other. That's when they're at their best. And I thought in game one, they really bogged down offensively. And it's almost as if they're looking to LeBron to do everything for them offensively. If that's the case, they're in big trouble. He had half of their assists in game one. Other guys have to get involved with playmaking, but you can only do it if you're moving. And you can see some of those possessions in the fourth quarter. You had 4 white jerseys standing around watching one guy try to be great. That's not going to get it done against San Antonio. Greg Popovich's teams are not going to allow you to isolate them and beat you that way. You're going to have to get creative with how you move the basketball, and guys have to be in tune with the game. And they really weren't in the fourth quarter during a 6-minute stretch when this all got away from them. You're going to see Eric Spoelstra go to the film room, and they'll make that adjustment for game two.
Yeah, you better hope that sense of urgency has returned in game two.